I always wanted to help people grow and succeed, in their jobs. And I really love to see how other people can improve and develop new skills for leadership skills that are more into vulnerability, empathy, resilience, emotional intelligence. So
Yeah.
it's interesting to see that before we used to do a lot of technical training, problem solving, negotiation skills.
Joining me today is Dr. Johana Lopez. She is a training and development manager in Houston, Texas. Dr. Johana, welcome. Thank you for joining me today.
Thank you so much for the invitation. I'm super excited to be here.
So let's go ahead and get started. Dr. Johana, can you please explain to me in the most simple way what a training and development manager does?
So, a training and learning and development manager helps people in
Okay.
organizations to get the skills that they need to improve, to be better, to achieve their highest potential. It's basically making sure that everybody has what they need in order to do their jobs.
Okay, and so now how did you get into this career path and how did you get your start?
Yeah, I always wanted to help people grow and succeed, in their jobs. And I really love to see how other people can improve and develop new skills. So I start working in human resources and I start doing some training for local companies,
Okay.
but I feel like I needed more information in order to do a better job. So that's when I decided to come to United States to do a master's and later on a PhD so I can get all the knowledge, the
Okay.
experience, and the information to become a training, learning, and development manager.
Yeah, that's amazing. And so now, what parts of the job are kind of harder, emotionally challenging, or maybe just not so fun?
For me, it's been very rewarding to see the confidence that people can build as they start, developing new skills, for instance, communication skills, leadership skills, emotional intelligence. And I also like the creative part of this job because you get to, be innovative
Okay.
about the type of content that you want to put together or creating new training programs, making it more engaging, more effective. And when
Okay.
people come to you and say, I had a really good learning experience, or I feel more confident now in my leadership skills, that is very exciting and rewarding.
Yeah, that's amazing. And so now, what parts of the job are kind of harder, emotionally challenging, or maybe just not so fun?
Yeah, well, honestly, there are some people that they are kind of resistant to change. They don't see the value
Yeah.
in training. Sometimes
Yeah.
it feels like the companies push people to go through these trainings and they come and they are not really engaged or they seem unhappy or stressed out. So
Yeah.
sometimes my job is to make sure that they have a good experience. And I understand that sometimes you have a lot on your plate and your mind is not
Yeah.
fully engage into the learning process. There is also a lot of paperwork involved. I have
Okay.
to record all the training notes, the experiences that I had, the training surveys that I have to give to the participants of my presentations and training and workshops. So there is a lot of paperwork involved that is not as fun as the other part, but it's,
Yeah.
every job you have some administrative tasks for sure.
Yeah, and so now kind of just for a little bit of clarification, does the company that you work for provide training and development services for other companies, or are you a training and development manager for your own company, if
We're
that makes sense?
consultants, so we
Okay.
do that for other companies, and we also do
Okay.
things internally, but for the most
Okay.
part, we work for all size of companies, big companies, small companies, and we provide that training that they need.
Okay, amazing. So now what do you think that people might underestimate or overestimate about this job?
I think sometimes people feel like it's easy to just kind of put something together and go and present it,
Yeah.
but there is a lot of work behind every training that you deliver because you have to do research, you have to find the right data, you need to
Yeah.
make it relevant, you need to customize it to the needs of the
Yeah.
particular employee. So I do training for all levels of the organization, from executive to entry level. So how I deliver one content to this level
Yeah.
of employees to entry level is going to be totally different. The type
Yeah.
of words that I use, the activities that I do, so that's really hard. But we also have other people who think that training and development it's boring because you have to put a lot of things together and you have to read a lot of things, and that's actually fun because for me it's like I'm constantly learning. I have to keep
Yeah.
up with all the new information,
Yeah.
and it could be for anything. What are the trends, what is needed now, what are some of the skills that people need to be more successful. So you're learning at the same time that you're kind of teaching, right?
Yeah, and now kind of along those same lines, how do you stay updated with the latest developments of your field?
So of course, I have, my master's and my PhD, but I continue getting some certifications. So
Yeah.
last year I got my certification in HR, which helps me to know what's new
Okay.
for HR. There is really good certifications like the Professional in Learning and Performance. There is another one that is called Professionals in Talent Development, and I'm
Okay.
part of a network. I mentor people, and I also have mentors, so I know what's going on. And because I also teach at the University of Houston,
Oh, wow.
I need to be updated with,
Yeah.
as I mentioned before, the trends. And so I'm constantly reading articles, watching videos, doing LinkedIn learning, so many things. So I continue
Yeah.
growing my skills.
That's amazing. And so now, are there specific niches or specialties that one can go into within training and development? Or what do you think about that?
There must be, because there is the instructional design part of it,
Okay.
which is when you kind of someone give you the content and you decide what platform or software you want to use. If it's
Yeah.
like online learning, right? So, or if
Okay.
it's in person, maybe doing videos.
Yeah.
There are other areas that people just facilitate. So once again, people give you the content and you just go and teach the class and leave, and that's it. There is people like me that we do everything, and I think it's very
Okay.
valuable because you are putting something together. You are doing your own research, so you get to experience the content. Then you
Yeah.
deliver as you feel like it's relevant. If it's virtual or in person, you decide what type of activities, what software you're going to use, and then you can do the follow up, which is really good, to see how effective was the training, was able
Yeah.
to help to solve the problem or whatever the need is. So there may be areas of specialization, but ideally you want to be able to have a comprehensive approach and do a little bit of everything.
Yeah. And does your company provide those services for all types of companies, or is there a specific one that they tend to lean to?
All
All
types,
types.
and it's been amazing because I've been able to see different industries, different levels, different type of workers, a lot of
Yeah.
diversity. So you need to have that capacity and that empathy to connect, because when you are in a classroom with a group of people, you want to connect with the real needs.
Yeah.
You want to make
Yeah.
this content relevant. So when you have that diverse industries and companies, you become very versatile.
Yeah.
You get to know
Yeah.
how to deal with different people. So that's what I love the most. And that's something, because you mentioned before that if I do it internal or externally, because I have some colleagues that they work for a company and they do this internally. So
Okay.
sometimes it feels like you're teaching the same group of people over and
Yeah.
over. You don't get to experience. But for me, every day I get to go to a totally different company,
That's cool.
different mindset. So it makes it
Yeah.
super fun. Mm.
Okay. And so now, before we got on this call, I had to do a little bit of research on the average salary for a training and development manager. So, according to Google, it is about $96,000. So, from your experience, do you think that this number is true? What do you think about that number?
That's about right. And of course, it's also
Okay.
based on your years of experience
Yeah.
and the certifications, the additional certifications that you have, or if you have a master's or a PhD. So definitely that could definitely make some
Yeah.
changes, but it's very accurate. Yeah.
Okay, great. So now, what are some of the biggest employers of this industry?
Every company, because
Okay.
even if they have a whole learning and development department in-house,
Yeah.
they still want to bring people from other, like our case as a consultant, because you get to bring a different perspective. Sometimes
Okay. Yeah.
you're able to see things from the outside and bring new ways to do things, being more innovative. So, and nowadays I have to say that for the past, I'll say 4 years, there is this huge need for leadership skills that are more
Okay.
into vulnerability, empathy, resilience, emotional intelligence. So
Yeah.
it's interesting to see that before we used to do a lot of technical training, problem solving, negotiation skills, and nowadays I do a lot of training into effective communication, emotional intelligence, how to coach employees, how to be
Okay.
more empathetic. So that's also really
Yeah.
nice to see.
Yeah, and that kind of leads perfectly into my next question. So we talked a little bit about how it's changed since you've started, but what are some current challenges right now, and how do you see the industry changing in about 5 to 10 years?
Yeah, well, the challenges is the new use of technology because artificial intelligence is part of
Yeah,
that. Of course, you need to be more creative how you want to deliver the information because people nowadays, and you probably have experienced that yourself, we're more into micro learning. People get
yeah,
distracted super easily. You're reading an article and then you jump to the next window. So our
yeah,
minds, our brains are so used to have this quick information that sometimes it's very challenging for a facilitator or a learning expert to decide, okay, how I make those changes and how I make this learning experience more effective. So I think the use of technology and keeping a balance, and also the capacity of humans in general
yeah,
to be focused, to just pay
yeah.
attention for longer periods, because training usually takes from 1 hour to a full day. I have done trainings
Okay.
of 8, 9 hours.
Wow. Yeah. Wow. And so now, kind of going into your daily work and your tasks, what does your schedule look like? What are some things that you spend the majority of your day doing?
I love because every day is different. Okay.
Okay.
So I spend
Okay.
most of my days designing and developing training programs. I conduct training sessions. I evaluate their effectiveness, but I also have a mix of content creation, delivering workshops, but also meeting with clients. So we do something that is called need assessments, that we meet with the company to understand what are the
Okay.
challenges, where they are, and where they need to be, so we can create and customize and create a proposal for the training.
Okay, amazing. And now we kind of touched on this and we said that you have really long training sometimes, but are you able to work flexible hours at all? Is this a strict 9 to 5 job? Do you see that you kind of take work home sometimes? How does that look like to you?
So I work from home since COVID.
Okay.
I've been working from home.
Okay.
And of course, I have to go out to deliver some of in-person training. Many
Yeah.
companies, especially big companies, they prefer to do online training because they have different
Okay.
locations. So it's easier for
Yeah.
people to connect from the different
Yeah.
locations, which has been amazing for me too, to have a balance. And
Yeah.
it's very flexible because sometimes, like for me, sometimes even on the weekends, I read an article and I'm like, oh, this could be a good topic. So I start putting like a
Okay.
draft together, it's more like
Yeah.
creative mode. I need that to have that space. And that's something that has been working really good for me to work from home because it's a quiet space. So I get to write and being, because when I was at the office before COVID, I had a lot of people coming and interrupting
Yeah.
the time that I was putting content together. So I think that flexibility allowed me to be more creative too. So it's been very
Yeah.
helpful.
Yeah, and so now kind of out of curiosity, you said that you do a little bit of research on the weekends or when you go home. So do you think that this is common for your role, or is it just because you are passionate about what you do and you just really love it?
Yeah, I think it has to do with my personality. I
Yeah,
mean, after I did my master's and my PhD, you just always want to learn more and more, and it's
yeah,
it's like a hobby, and it's really like I love Harvard Business Review's articles, and I see these new topics coming up every week or every weekend, and I'm like, oh, this is so totally something that I would like to put together. So,
yeah,
so yeah, this could be a job that you can do it from 9 to 5 or 8 to 5, whatever it is. And well, next week I'm going to be doing a training in the evening, because some companies,
okay,
they also prefer their employees to take trainings either on a
yeah,
weekends or overnight. So that could be something also to keep in mind for this type of jobs, because sometimes you just need
okay.
to be on
Yeah.
call.
Yeah, that's interesting. So now, do you see that there's maybe busy seasons in this year? And if so, what are they?
Yeah, definitely. we go work with the fiscal year. So many companies, they want to finish their training hours, because remember, it's a requirement for many companies to put their employees to different training programs, right? So they need to, they
Yeah.
have
Yeah.
certain dates. So like summer tends to be kind of slow time. The holidays is always
Okay.
slow, but January is one of those months that we have many companies who want to start their year right with a good mindset. So that's the time that I'm
Yeah.
super busy every day doing different trainings. And
Yeah.
then August, September, because they want to get it done before the end of the fiscal year. So we have a bunch of trainings going on during that time too.
Yeah. Okay, so we kind of talked a little bit about how you got here and your educational background, but would you say that degrees or certifications are truly required to get this role?
It's not required, but it's gonna definitely help
Okay.
you, because think
Yeah.
about when you teach, you want to know about adult learning theories, how adults
Okay.
learn, how. So
Okay.
that's gonna help you to give you more framework, better methodologies, so you can do a better job designing, implementing, and facilitating the training. So
Yeah.
it's needed. You're gonna feel, that happened to me. I graduated from college with a bachelor in psychology, and I started working for a
Okay.
HR consultant. But I feel like I didn't have enough knowledge, experience, and I didn't even know how to deliver, how to teach.
Okay.
So
Okay.
I think that type of experience is definitely needed to do this
Yeah.
job.
Okay, amazing. And now, what are some natural strengths or talents that you think would make someone a really good training and development manager?
Communication, for sure.
Yeah.
You have to have that skill. Also, empathy, being able to connect with people.
Hmm.
Creativity is a requirement. Writing skills, because even though you don't need to do PowerPoint all the time, but you still need to put little things here and
Yeah.
there.
Yeah.
You definitely are going to need some education, either like in education or HR, or having the certifications that I mentioned before, like professional in learning or talent development. All those things are going to give you the specific skills and knowledge that you need.
Yeah. Yeah. So now this question is a little bit similar, but what are some topics or subject matters that you think someone would have to be really interested in order to enjoy being a training and development manager?
As I mentioned before, definitely adult learning, because
Yeah.
you're not teaching kids, you're teaching
Yeah.
adults. You also want to know about instructional design, diversity and inclusion, because you need to understand, the diverse background of your learners. Leadership
Yeah.
development. So if you're interested in helping people to develop leadership skills, and definitely technology. Technology in
Okay.
training is crucial.
So now what tools or technologies, maybe even softwares, do you see that you use a lot as part of your job?
You need to know about learning management system that is called
Okay.
LMS. Each company has a different softwares. There is also some platforms like Canvas, Blackboard, that I'm sure you probably have used
Okay.
in your
Yeah.
classes too.
Yeah.
And then there are softwares that are more for video creation or make it more interactive, like Articulate or Adobe
Okay.
Captivate. And
Okay.
then I rely a lot on Teams and Zoom and go to webinars, which is what I use right now to deliver my online training.
Okay, so now what do you recommend that candidates that are interested in becoming training and development managers do if they're interested in becoming one?
I would recommend them to probably attend or volunteer to deliver some presentations, even for their group of friends, or do like a lunch and learns at school.
Yeah.
Don't underestimate what you're doing in college, through your classes or projects in school, and just present it, because sometimes that add a lot of value. There is also local organizations. For instance, here in Houston, we have the Academy of Talent Development. We
Okay.
have the Training and Development Association. So if you partner with them, or if you attend some of their professional meetings, you are going to be able to network and see what are some other areas of training and development that you want to explore, because it doesn't really have to be, because I hear people saying, I don't like to teach. And that's fine, because maybe you can do
Yeah.
one-on-one coaching through this type of programs, or you can be the one to just put the content and give it to someone else to deliver, or maybe you can be the
Okay.
one making the videos. So playing with that, talking to people who are doing the job, and that we all have something to offer. So
Yeah.
use what you have, your projects, to start getting out there and developing your communication skills, for sure.
Yeah. And so now, specifically for training and development, what are some things that would maybe set a candidate apart from other candidates?
What I mentioned at some point, the capacity to
Yeah.
adapt to different groups of people, so you have
Okay.
to show that you are adaptable, that you're open to change, that you can have a conversation with interns and entry level, but you can also have a conversation with a CEO or directors of
Yeah.
operations or
Yeah.
executives. So and you have to learn to change, because sometimes you have to improvise. You have to
Yeah.
read the room. Maybe you came with a lot of activities and games, and suddenly you see that the group of people are not really into games or
Yeah.
role plays, or so you
Yeah.
have to change your approach right away and decide another um, way to deliver the information. So that's going to be important too.
Okay. And so now, what are some books, resources, or programs that you recommend our listeners look into if they're interested in a role like yours?
A book that is called Designing and Developing Training Programs. I
Okay.
believe this is by Janice Fisher. And
Okay.
there is another one that I don't remember the author, but it's called The Art and Science of Training. And I also recommend to just go to websites like Chief of
Okay.
Learning Officer. They have amazing articles. They do something that is called breakfast meetings every month, and they invite
So,
experts from different companies, and they talk about what training they are putting together, how was their experience with the methodology, the content. So you get to learn from what other people are doing. And I like that about this
yeah.
type of jobs that we do, that we are
Yeah.
it's like a community of learners. We support each other. People in LinkedIn are constantly asking, hey, look at this software, try this new activity. What about this game? We're constantly supporting each other, because at the end of the day, it's the benefit for everyone, for all the companies. So
Yeah.
that could also be a good recommendation.
Yeah. And so, what are some other roles that are kind of similar to this? Or maybe what are some roles that are different, but you see that you constantly interact with?
I hear a lot organizational development, talent
Okay.
development, HR in general, instructional design is a big one,
Yeah.
educational technology, facilitation, learning and development consultant. And there is a program in particular that I really like that is called human resource development. That
Okay.
it's kind of a broad concept, but it's all about training and any way to help people to achieve their highest potential. So that could be through learning, that could be through facilitation, coaching, any other thing that help people to be better in their jobs.
Amazing. And so now, if you were able to talk to your younger self when she was just beginning her career, what would you tell her?
I think to embrace continuous learning, to always feel that you can learn more and more and more, to engage with mentors, to ask for help. Sometimes we just struggled in our own little worlds, and we don't seek
Yeah.
out for mentors. And people are always there willing to help if you ask the right
Yeah.
way, right? So,
Yeah.
and also just to be open to learn new technologies, new softwares, because every experience is going to be a learning opportunity.
Yeah, that's amazing. Thank you so much. So now finally, where can people reach out to you and where can they follow along with your work?
Oh, thank you. Yeah, if they go to my LinkedIn, they can find me with my email,
Yes.
with my name, Johana Lopez, PhD. And yeah, that's basically where I am. You can reach
Basically.
out to me,
Yeah.
emails, anything. I'd be happy to help.
Great. And we'll make sure to tag you whenever this podcast gets posted so that people can find you a lot easier. Dr. Joanna, thank you so much for being here today. Thank you for joining me and sharing your experience as a training and development manager. Your insight was greatly appreciated. Thank you.
Thank you, Miranda. Thank you for your time, and thank you for
Of
doing
course.
this.
You just got one episode closer to learning about the world of jobs out there. To explore the rest of our career categories and find your best fit, go to jobdictionary.com to sign up for the beta users waitlist. Then subscribe here to find the next episodes coming out this week. And as always, drop us a comment, review, or message to let us know how we can better attune our episodes to your specific needs. Follow us on TikTok, Instagram, Facebook, LinkedIn, X, Threads, Pinterest, and wherever else you're on socials to go get our short, snappy preview reels that expose you to new job options every day. Because here at Job Dictionary, we believe your big aha moment can be just one scroll away. Go check it out and get out there. Cheers!